Hello everyone, welcome to my monologue, my one-man podcast, my another storytelling time. I say another one, yet all previous ones were recorded in Polish. It is the first one recorded in English. I hate hearing myself speaking English. I hate my accent. I cringe hard at every mistake I make, but I felt it is something I need to do, as at least about this topic, which I think is more interesting to some English speakers. Let's say it is not something which my main audience of my channel, almost 10 people, 10 people at most, would be interested in, and I simply wanted to try out to tell a story, tell something in English to broaden the audience. So, if you are new to my channel, let's say maybe a YouTube algorithm or RNG gods. I think YouTube algorithm and RNG gods may be the different faces of the same entity. I think if you were somehow manipulated or simply simply are interested in this video, let me tell you the basics, and the basics is who I am. I am, at the time of this recording, 35 years old boomer, using this old and unfunny meme. I live in Poland, in the south of Poland, near the border with Slovakia, so about 100 kilometers away from any big city. And this south of Poland, remote area, is not a place where one could expect Nintendo 64 fans. And there are still, up to this day, there are some fans in the city where I live, and I am one of those. Back in 1997, two colleagues from my class in elementary school, they brought this new, fresh game everybody was talking about. It was Goldeneye 007. I've never played any FPS game before. We have started with multiplayer, and one of those guys who had the game before me, like, they were trained, they knew how to play it, because I had no idea how to play an FPS game, and not on a Nintendo 64 and 64 controller. They got to the golden gun first, and I somehow managed to slap the golden gun holder to death. And this sense of victory cemented my love for Goldeneye on Nintendo 64, and this is the beginning of my interest in this game. Back then I had played Goldeneye a lot. I got my own copy, and when you got a new Nintendo 64 game, it was something huge, because the games were very expensive, especially in Poland. There was no official distributor at that time. Nintendo Poland does not exist. You would need to buy console, you would need to buy games in Germany or from people who would import those games for you and add some margin for themselves, so the games used to be very expensive back in the 90s, and there was no way to pirate games like it was for PlayStation, for the first PlayStation, so being a Nintendo 64 fan back then was hard, definitely. Yet when I got my own copy of Goldeneye, I knew I had to unlock all the cheats. So you had to beat to unlock the cheat. You of course need to beat a given level on the given difficulty and below specified time. So you would need to speedrun the game. And I did it, and I found this optimization quite enjoyable. I am not a speedrunner myself. I never wanted to be one. Maybe at some point, but let's not get into this. And the next big thing was Perfect Dark, which I have also played. Even recently, I tend to come back to Perfect Dark from time to time, and even last year I managed to unlock 3 remaining cheats in Perfect Dark. But going back to the early 2000s, I have found a website, The Elite, which the best times were displayed there, and I looked at those times. I think it was 2006 or 2007. It was the time when Ryan Isran was dominating Perfect Dark world records. I looked at those times, and I had no idea how those people managed to achieve those times. It was beyond my knowledge, and I was so baffled by it. I simply lost interest, I think, because I simply could not replicate any of those times. Many years later, as you may know by checking my channel, I've started to record Let's Plays of some of the games I have presented to people, because I think that Nintendo 64 games are not very well known among Polish players. I have decided to show some popular Nintendo 64 games. One of those was Banjo-Kazooie. So I wanted to, before every Let's Play I make, I record a prologue with some basic information, what the game is about, some backstory, and I wanted to talk about Rare. Rare was of course the much beloved the second-party developer at that time of Nintendo, and of course, the developers of Goldeneye, and I wanted to say to my viewers to talk something to describe this developer, and I talked about Killer Instinct, and I wanted to put in some clip from Goldeneye, and the first thing that has sprung into my mind was of course Lockwood's Streets 112, and I have found this clip on YouTube, and in the recommended section I have found something incredibly interesting. It was named SpeedLore. SpeedLore is a series of videos detailing the road from the first attempts to the currently standing world record time on a particular Goldeneye level. The host of this live transmission, because it is shown on Twitch with live chat, etc., and then uploaded to YouTube. The host of this SpeedLore is Ryan White, a gentleman from Canada, I think a couple of years younger than me, a Goldeneye speedrunner himself. So he knows his stuff. He has been active member of the community, of Goldeneye speedrun community and speedrun as a whole. I think he's not anymore, or maybe not as active as he used to be. Why, I will detail later, or at least I will present my point of view about this topic. Yet the SpeedLore details the historical events, the historical recordings, sometimes going back as far as 1998, 1999, 20 years ago. People were recording the attempts, their best runs on Goldeneye through Goldeneye levels. They were recording it on VHS and tried their best to capture this video and upload somewhere. YouTube did not exist, obviously. I did the same. Well, maybe I never was a speedrunner myself, but I made some VHS recordings of my gameplay. It can be seen, it can be viewed on my YouTube channel. Obviously, I did it. I was in elementary school. I wanted to show. I would not call them friends, definitely, but to show to my colleagues what are Nintendo 64 games, how they look, how they play. No, almost nobody else had this console, barely knew about it, so I wanted to spread the knowledge, spread my passion, and 20 years later I'm still doing it. Okay, but the SpeedLore itself also had detailed explanations about the tricks which were developed over the time. I was surprised how much knowledge, how many tries, like dissecting the game in a methodical, scientific way, I would say, even like calculating the times, delving into actual code of the game. Developers interviews with Dr. David Doak, who is an actual doctor in, I don't know what I don't remember what his specialty is to, but he has shared some interesting details with the community. It is, and most of all, the passion. Those people, sometimes they are grinding tens of thousands of hours. I have never played any video game longer than a single player game, longer than, I don't know, 200 hours, with exception of Final Fantasy VII, when I estimated was about 1000 hours, and multiplayer games like Team Fortress 2, Dota 2, about 2000 hours each. Yet to put so much time and effort into achieving world record in a video game was, of course, it is not something what you would do normally, to say at least, but I kind of admire those people, because it doesn't matter what you are doing as long as it makes you happy and it does not cause harm to you or your loved ones and other people. I think, yes, sometimes achieving a world record is a huge effort, incredible effort, but the satisfaction from it is like hypnotic, narcotic, addicting. And Ryan White has also detailed all those details about people, because it doesn't matter if you have, I don't know, if you are writing a sci-fi story, but it is with a cool concept, but there are no people inside. People cannot relate with the characters. So yes, in Ryan White's storytelling, the characters play the central part, and the characters are real people. And sometimes he even put himself in the center of the story. I will come back to it later. Yet I was hooked on those SpeedLore episodes. Ryan White, I know he has this reputation of being, as he calls himself, a shitposter, a troll, with his own words. Like on the forums, he did some posts to stir up some emotions, sometimes or frequently negative ones. And of course, right now, between 2018 and 2019, he has gathered a lot of haters around himself. But again, I will come back to this later. Ryan White, I like his way of speaking, because he is doing he has the plan of the story, he has this story planned, and he is building up this hype before, right before the breakthrough events, where the history, where the understanding of a particular level or technique was just was supposed to be done. So he has this raw talent, in my opinion, to be a storyteller. I think many people share my opinion about this. I find his videos enjoyable to watch, and he's like other persona, other side of his character, this shitposty, stirring up, trollish. I think it has not been visible much in his videos, thanks to his, maybe not thanks, but because of sometimes of his remarks, like he used the nickname for one of NPCs in the game, Dr. Soy. That I know this soy most likely comes from 4chan and Paul, like culture, subculture, internet subculture, because I had been visiting 4chan for far too long, and unfortunately I'm not visiting this website anymore, or definitely not as frequently as I used to be. But I knew what is the, let's say, the background. I had a rough idea about other activity of Ryan White on the internet, yet I don't really care, to be honest. If I don't like something, I simply don't look at it. Internet has so many things to offer. Some things are actually wonderful, very helpful, like language learning, etc. And let's not get distracted by this off topic. Yet what was presented in SpeedLore and some other videos about speedrunning in general, I found to be extremely enjoyable, and actually helpful and inspiring, I would even say. And this is the next step of my story, because let's say the SpeedLore, the actual series, debuted in 2017, and this is a year I would personally, for me, quite unpleasant, I would say, and this is something which I want to talk about right now. And 2017 was a very bad year for me, not related to let's say health issues or anything like that, but to work. I like my job, I enjoy it, I get a sense of satisfaction out of it. Yet in 2017, and only in this year, I was given an additional set of tasks which I absolutely hated. I have communicated to my boss that I am simply not up to this challenge. I am not able to do everything. I am not able to do everything properly as I like to do, and I simply hated the new people I had to work with. Long story short, I have suffered a lot throughout 2017. I hated every single day of work that year. And on the other hand, when it comes to video games, this year was exceptionally good. There was The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, there was Nier Automata. Later that year I finally bought myself an Xbox 360 and played original Nier. I loved those games. Unfortunately, I have finally understood this mechanism. When I have I had a log. I was putting some entries of video, how much I have played video games that year, and I came up with more than 1000 hours, about 2 or 3 hours spent on playing every day, and it got me really scared. And I have finally understood that playing video games a lot is a form of escapism for me. When something is wrong in my life, I run away into video games, and it is simply not the way to solve problems. Yet, going back to the SpeedLore, SpeedLore premiered like every month, and every premiere was like, okay, I managed to survive to go through another month. I set my goal on December. During December at my work, there is a seasonal break which spans from second half of December throughout first week of January. We go back to work on during the second week of January. I just thought that if I manage, I was waiting, I was expecting this winter break to regain my sanity, to charge up my batteries, and I simply counting months to this thing happening. Fortunately, along the way, salvation came, those additional tasks I have received at the beginning of the year were taken away from me. They were given to someone else, and I was saved. It happened around September, October 2017, and I was like, I came back to life afterwards. It was a very happy event. Yet this SpeedLore served as a counter, a counter to the sadness, and also counter when how much of it I can take, how much more of it I can take, and simply to it was marking the passing months of that year that I managed to get through. Long story short, I have started to consider SpeedLore episodes as a very happy event. I was waiting for it like for some sort of holiday. When new episode of SpeedLore had its premiere, I was dropping everything, and I sat in front of my computer to watch another episode. So I am very grateful to Ryan for putting those very exciting to me videos more or less every month. The added value to those SpeedLore episodes, besides hearing the stories behind the world records on particular levels, was to pure nostalgia, this longing for long gone days of Nintendo 64, the second half of the 90s. As I said, I love this particular console. I love the games, and it reminded me of those times, and this whole speedrunning, preparation, training, grinding, searching for optimization, new strategies. It really inspired me to do one thing in 2018. Let's say I was, as I said, I was feeling very bad, down in the dumps during 2017, and kind of my New Year resolution for 2018 was to finish, to complete 2 Nintendo 64 games I haven't managed to complete up to this point. And it kind of I kind of remembered about those incomplete games, They were too hard back in the days for me to complete. I didn't have enough patience, which may sound strange because I consider myself as having a lot of patience for video games. So like my first inspiration related to SpeedLore content was to after 2017. In 2018 I have decided to go back to those games and to finally complete the remaining missions to obtain required times. Two Nintendo 64 games. The first one was Pilot Wings 64. I loved this game. I've played it back in elementary school, at the end of elementary school. I don't know if you are familiar with it or not. It is a simplified flying simulator. The difference from like serious flying simulators is that Pilot Wings 64 is actually fun and exciting, at least for me. There are many different vehicles to fly, like glider, paraglider, like more or less somewhat realistic, like a gyrocopter. You can do parachuting, and some wacky ones like human cannonball, jumping boots, or something like that. I don't remember the exact name. And you have many different missions to complete. And those missions are scored like based on your time, landing accuracy and landing impact. Many different factors come into play, and back in the days I have managed to get 100% of each mission except one. The final gliding paraglider mission, Shutterbug 3. It contains some sort of random element, at least from my point of view. It is random. Yes, you are gliding through the air, and which is fine, but you also need to take pictures. Hence the name Shutterbug. The first picture you go down onto the Nessie, with sea monster or lake monster. I don't remember. Was it in the? I think the monster is in the river, like emerging from water. You need to get close and take a picture of it. Then you pull up a bit, go over the forest, and there is a cruise ship circling on the sea, and you need also to get close, take a picture of it, and then you go to the Cape Canaveral and take a picture of starting like launching of the spacecraft. I'm referring to some real places in the United States, as it is on the level the little states, like miniature version of the USA. Awesome level. It left a great impression. It made a great impression on me back in the 90s. Anyway, you need to take those pictures, which are each picture is graded from 1 to 20. You need to be quite precise to get the perfect score. And then you need to land, which is always a pain. I don't know. Of course, there are experts, Pilot Wings experts, who have trained, I don't know, Zen or similar art. Like they are able to control those aspects of landing perfectly. I am not one of those people. So if I manage to get all the pictures perfectly, I always tended to mess up the landing, or the other way. One or two of the pictures weren't perfect, and the landing could get me enough points. So it was quite frustrating to get it right. Yet this we are finally getting to the point. After watching how many hundreds of hours people are grinding for those world records, I have tried to do the same, to copy this mindset. You are training for a set number of times per day, and you are done. The next day you are trying, you try again and again until you get it. You will have a lot of failures along the way, but eventually you will get there. You will get there if you try long enough. This is this mindset of speedrunners, at least I think. So I think it is like that. So I decided to make 10 attempts per day. I have started the 1st of January 2018, and I tried like 10 attempts per day and enough, so not to get frustrated, not to get bored, and I will try until it's done. And I managed to do it. Something which I was thinking about for the past, I don't know, 20 years. I was able to do it, I don't know, in 50 tries, in 60 tries. It took me about 5 or 6 days to get it done, to get this last mission to 100 points, and I have finally managed to 100% Pilot Wings 64. I am still happy. I'm recording it about more than 1 year after achieving it, and I'm still happy. Yes, I did it. It won't be something which will be bothering me when I will be on my deathbed. Like, yes, I have managed to finally complete Pilot Wings 64, to watch those last credits, to get all gold medals. The other Nintendo 64 game which I left uncompleted back in 2000 was it is actually closely related to Goldeneye speedrunning, was Perfect Dark. I am a Perfect Dark guy, not a Goldeneye guy. I love Goldeneye, don't get me wrong, but I think Perfect Dark is better. I enjoy it more. It like expands on every aspect of Goldeneye and adds even more things. Yet Perfect Dark seems to be forgotten or brought down by unsuccessful sequels, or mishandling the franchise, or basically Microsoft. Let's not get into those painful subjects. Perfect Dark. It premiered in 2000. I loved this game. I've played it like for the whole summer holiday and more. What else to say? Well, I couldn't. I think I should do another podcast, another to tell another story about Perfect Dark alone. Yet, as I mentioned, I left this game uncompleted. There were some. The same way as in GoldenEye, to unlock some cheats, you need to beat the set level on set difficulty under set time, and it is so basically you need to speedrun the level to unlock the cheat. Of course, speedrunners bring down the world records so low. The times achieved are so low that the times set by the developers are just look silly. yet for a casual player, they are quite hard. Even if you know the strategy, even if you manage to sneak on some speedrunners, you see how they do it, but you are unable to copy it because you lack skill, you lack experience, you lack thousands of hours of grinding, tens of thousands of hours. Yet getting those times, as I said, I have good patience for video games, and I decided it is something that also needs to be done after completing Pilot Wings. So the first level was the level in the laboratory. I cannot speak English. In this lab underground, when on the highest difficulty setting. All the times I haven't, all the cheats I haven't unlocked required times on the highest difficulty setting, which even many speedrunners, as I browsed through the elite forums, even speedrunners consider Perfect Dark as hard on its highest difficulty setting. I agree with them 100%. So the first level, actually the second level of the game, underground lab, you have a lot of freedom to complete some tasks in a different order. So it took me some time to actually survive the level. Survival in Perfect Dark on the highest difficulty setting is hard, is difficult, and it took me quite a lot of time. I decided to play only 1 hour per day, not more. Again, not to get frustrated and to get those skills, ability to which I was learning as I went, to soak in, so my mind could internalize and could remind how to play the game, what to do, how to avoid the guards, how to aim correctly, etc. So there was this learning process required to achieve those times, and it took me about 1 week to unlock this time, this cheat, to get below the time set by the developers. The second level was, I think, Chicago. It also took a few tries, but it was 2 or 3 days it took me to get this cheat. There was some very excellent strategy which helped a lot, saved a lot of time, yet the survival was the main difficulty. The next level was the one, Area 51, where you need to get to Elvis at the end. You need to go undercover. You go through the hangar, you meet with Jonathan, you get explosives. It was a nightmare because you need to go fast, and I was able to survive the first elevator like maybe 1 time in 10. I could not master getting out of the first elevator. Taking you from the hangar to the corridors next to the actual lab, Area 51 lab, where you need to blow up the wall and then go undercover, etc. It was the hardest part of getting those times. It took me about actually 2 weeks to get this time. On the first try, when I was on the last let's say run, the last part of the level, I accidentally I have blown up myself with explosives, and I was quite unhappy about this, but a bit later I managed to finally beat the level and unlock the cheat. And the second to last level was deep sea, when you are on a sunken ship, alien ship. It was quite easy. I think I got it. I was able to get to the last run, when you literally need to run and escape before the timer counts down to 0. I managed to get to this final section during my first day of tries, but to actually survive the last part took me, I think, 5 days, 6 days, so something like that. Not the hardest level, but not the easiest like Chicago. And the last level was Scatter Ruins. To be honest, I have actually enjoyed playing this level because you need to dodge the melee attacks from Scatter. Giant lizards attacking you, slapping you in the face. One slap and you are basically dead. Unfortunately, speedrunners have discovered some wrong polygons, misalignment, where you can clip through and save yourself quite a lot of time. So if you manage to survive, you should be fine. So I think it took me, I don't know, 5-6 days of tries to get it done, and I have finally unlocked all the cheats. And I liked it. I liked trying, grinding those times, getting those cheats, trying to survive, observing as how I'm getting better with it, and it. The satisfaction from achieving your goal and this urge to improve. This all was inspired by the SpeedLore. I am like the stories of speedrunners who have dedicated a lot of time to this. Like they were inspiring. And I don't want to be a speedrunner. I'm sure I don't have enough skill to do it, to join the ranks of speedrunners. Yet for that part, like first half of 2018, I was inspired to try obtaining the easiest Perfect Dark cheat. World record. It is, you get no points on the elite boards for getting this world record. It is like the duel in Perfect Dark. You need to turn around and shoot the guard, and if you do it in 3 seconds, you have the world record. There is a technique how to do it, how to draw your weapon quicker, yet I was for a couple of weeks I was too stupid to understand this trick. I tried, could not get it done. It is simply it is not something visual. You need to press the buttons, like hold your analog stick on the joypad, on the game. Joypad or gamepad is for Nintendo 64. I don't remember how it should be. How is it named? Anyway, but I got it, and I have maybe one of the easiest world records in all speedrunning, but I have it. So afterwards, I kind of dropped the idea of grinding levels like in Perfect Dark. Yes, it is done. I did what I wanted. I have achieved what I wanted, and that's it. I won't be getting into competition with other people. It seems like I will never be able to reach them. It will be extremely hard for me to even get into top 100 in any given level. So what's the point? But I did some share of, like, let's say, casual speedrunning, and it was without any doubt inspired by SpeedLore. And there is also another source of inspiration hidden in this SpeedLore episode. It is maybe not the easiest topic to talk about, but Ryan White, in his Silo SpeedLore episode, he was talking about himself. And he was talking about his family, about his mother, which of course has resonated with me deeply. I understand his viewpoint. I understand what he was, where he was coming from. I am able to understand him. I am able to understand what he feels, what he thinks about all those matters which were shown there. I do not idolize Ryan White. It is for sure. He's not my hero. He's not my idol. He is a guy who sits in front of his camera and he has some stories to share. I find it like inspiring, definitely inspiring. As I have mentioned, it has inspired me to complete some video games. Not the not the highest, not the most noble thing to do. Yet it is something. It is definitely something. But there is one more thing. He was talking about his family, about his mother, how he felt about her dying. On my channel there is a video about the anime series Made in Abyss, when I have shared a bit of me thinking about similar topics, I was explaining why Made in Abyss had resonated with me so strongly. And without this silo episode, without Ryan White talking about very private and painful things, and he was able to keep his composure, it all has me inspired to share also a part of my story, of my life, I would say, something which you should not do on the internet. You should not share your private information, your feelings, your thoughts, like deep, intimate thoughts on the internet. You should not do it. But he did, and I did it as well. Without this episode, this part of the Made in Abyss movie, which is in Polish only, so it would not happen. So after this long part about inspiration, let's get back to the actual SpeedLore and Ryan White, who has disappeared from the internet during the time between 2018 and 2019, and it is in my opinion, his own damn fault. Why? As I have mentioned before, Ryan White, like as he calls himself, he calls himself a shitposter, a troll, someone who wants to stir things up, and I know this mindset, which you can present on the internet. I believe I was like that, I don't know, 10-15 years ago, when I have just I got my internet connection at home, and I was like on the forums. I think I was the same, maybe even more. But I tried not to be. I hate myself from that time. I was in my 20s. But Ryan White, he was the member of the Elite Council. So a group of people who made decisions regarding Goldeneye and Perfect Dark speedrunning, decided about I don't know, about proof policy or something like that. He was a part of this council, and there was a guy going by the nickname Orami, and there was a clash between those two personalities, because Orami, he had, I think he was also the type, a type who wants to express his personality to gain some sense of power on the internet. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't talked. I wasn't in any interaction with any of those two people, those two fine gentlemen. So I can, on Ryan White, I know the part of his personality from the SpeedLore episodes. Orami I do not know at all. Yet those two fine gentlemen clashed in an internet battle. Anyway, by clashed I mean they hated each other, and it has escalated. It has escalated greatly. Basically, Ryan White wanted to. I am simplifying things, but Ryan White wanted to get Orami off the forums, the elite forums. He wanted to get his times removed from the boards. The main reason was that Orami has expressed, supposedly, I haven't seen those texts, those opinions myself. He has expressed opinions justifying distribution of pedophilia. I don't know how true is it. I don't want to judge because I wasn't a part of the situation. Yet this guy Orami I think he was banned from other communities. So I'm sure there is something to this story. By the way, Orami, when I last saw his profile, I think on YouTube or some other media, he had an avatar from Toho, which I personally dislike a lot, so never mind. Orami decided to fight back, and he decided to publish or to remind people about screenshots from Discord. I don't like Discord, by the way, of I think it was private Discord, where Ryan White Goose, his nickname, was discussing some matters with other people like similar opinions. And those screenshots expressed that there were many politically incorrect opinions shown in those pictures. So the main hero of my story, Ryan White, who was, let's say, he got a nickname, a president of speedrunning, like he was advocating enforcing some rules like much tighter proof moderation, proof control. Someone who wanted to be a representative of the community. He has been expressing some very, let's say, unpleasant to read, politically incorrect opinions. Not very strong ones. In my opinion, I have read some of those. They weren't very radical, to be honest. I've seen much more radical opinions expressed on the internet. And also I want to differentiate between opinions and actually doing something. Because, let's say, mob mentality on the internet, like an anonymity, it fuels radical opinions. Someone can be a very pleasant individual in real life and would never do things which he or she expresses on the internet in details, like I don't know why people do it. I try to avoid it. Like, we have internet tough guys, yes, I would beat you up, and in reality the person expressing such arguments would not be able to beat anyone. But let's say it may sound like I'm downplaying the political incorrectness of Ryan White's opinions. Yet he can express those opinions. He lives in Canada, and there is democracy, at least I think so, because in modern world you don't really know what is what anymore. But let's not get political. Anyway, those opinions were, I'm sure of it, were related, like taken from 4chan board poll. I'm quite sure Ryan has frequented 4chan and this board most likely as well. And and he was like copying or maybe embracing some of those viewpoints expressed there. As I said, I'm not trying to justify, I'm not trying to downplay those opinions. Yet I think we need to make a distinct line between writing something on the internet and actually doing something like I don't know, paying, like making donations to organizations, but okay, let's not get into this. And also there is a freedom of speech in our, let's say, in our part of the world, so Ryan White can express such opinions. Yet if you want to be a president of speedrunning, if you are representing a community, let's say if you are dabbing in politics, you cannot have opinions which are politically incorrect. You can do it, I don't know, in your living room with people you know, but you don't express them on the internet, because they will get picked up and they will be used against you. So it is a cynical way of showing things, but this is what Ryan did. Those opinions were used against him in a situation when he wanted to get someone else away for his own politically incorrect, very incorrect opinions. So he was like beaten by his own weapon. And I'm sorry, Ryan, I'm sure you are not watching it, but it was extremely stupid thing to do. So eventually Orami got banned. Ryan White became infamous. He was banned from AGDQ or GDQ event completely. I think it was like going overboard, because he hasn't attended this event for many years now. But I can understand GDQ in this point, because GDQ is like getting overboard with political correctness. In my opinion, I'm not watching this event anymore. I don't really enjoy it anymore. So long story short, what Ryan did was wrong, was stupid, and he decided to, after Orami was banned from the elite and his times, his records after community voting were also removed. There was a huge discussion: should we ban someone's times based on personality, based on opinions he or she expresses? It was decided that yes, Orami was so disliked, his opinions were so disliked by the community, that he got eradicated from the elite completely, and Ryan White decided to go to keep a radio silence and not to say anything for months. He wasn't active on YouTube. He wasn't active on, almost no activity on Twitter. I don't know about Reddit. I'm not I'm not a frequent excuse me frequent guest on Reddit. So so anyway, this state of things was at the end of 2018 and beginning of 2019. SpeedLore episodes which were already scheduled got cancelled, and I decided to delve into this topic. I was interested in what's going on, and I have discovered this whole unpleasant truth. I was quite disgusted by what I have discovered, and those emotions are the main reason why I have decided to record this story, this podcast, when everything has settled already, and nobody is interested in this topic anymore. but I wanted to do it, and this story has unfortunately, it is not the end of the story, and let's say the last part, I hope the epilogue is starting right now. So the aftermath of this situation started when the decision about banning Ryan White from GDQ was announced, and Ryan White decided to publish an apology on his Twitter, which has resulted in a lot of hate from people who are against his opinions which were published, his opinions from Discord, and also people from the other side of the spectrum, like why did you surrender to social justice warriors? They won't leave you alone. You should never do it. Apology is never enough for those people, etc., etc. So Ryan White decided to go silent for a few months, and it was, I think, a very good tactic, because people forget, like important political events. I'm sure of it, like why those people got elected again, why people have forgotten what they have done like 10 years ago. People have such a short memory. Like I don't understand it. Yet Ryan White decided to go silent. A few months later, he decided to speak up. But before that, a gentleman called Apollo Legend decided to help Ryan White, and I think he did him a disservice, which I think is evident. But Apollo Legend became popular on YouTube with his videos about old speedrunners, like people or high scorers, holders of the world records in this Atari game. I don't remember its name. Dragster. He has exposed. Other people have discovered that the claims, world record claims, were false, and Apollo Legend has taken those, let's say, those claims about falsified records and made them public. He popularized this notion, and he actually got some people losing their Guinness entries in the Guinness World Records entries. Those people became infamous because of Apollo Legend's videos. He was very thorough in his search for truth. He contacted many people, did some interviews. He did a good job. There was also this guy who had the highest score in Donkey Kong Arcade. He was also his lies were exposed by Apollo Legend as well. Apollo Legend himself was threatened by his Donkey Kong arcade record holder. There was some risk of legal action, so Apollo Legend also went silent, and he decided to come back. And one of those comeback videos was a video defending Ryan White. In his video, he said that Ryan White was banned from GDQ, how the GDQ is getting too leftist. Their opinions are steering in a social justice warriors side, but he completely forgot to mention the Discord screenshots. He neglected the fact that all those things happened not without reason, not out of the blue, and he got a lot of dislikes for this video when he's defending Ryan White and his whole. I think it was a grave mistake for him. Why did you do this? Why? Because you wanted to help a friend. Yes, I get it, but I think you have lost a lot. You again, as Ryan White, dear Apollo legend, what you have done was extremely stupid in my opinion. You had your viewers trusted you that what you're doing, like you are a friend of truth. You search for the truth. With this video, you have proved that you can do the complete opposite of it, and you may not regain this trust again unless people forget, like they do. It is not me to judge, to predict what will happen next. Anyway, Ryan White eventually decided to break the silence and has announced Q&A on his Twitch, and I have watched the entirety of this Q&A. There were some questions asked, and Ryan, I think he has answered the most difficult ones, which I also find to be quite impressive. Ryan White, I think it was almost 2 hours of this stream. Long story short, why those opinions? Why the apology? What Ryan White said, that he has surrounded himself with negativity, and those opinions which are not necessarily his own, like creeped inside his head. This is how I understood what he was saying, and I cannot judge was Ryan White sincere, or was he saying that just to justify himself, just to get undecided people still sitting on the fence to like him again. But if he was sincere, it is again something I can relate to. If you surround yourself with negativity, even knowing that all those things around you are negative, you will slowly become negative yourself. I myself spent too much time on 4chan. I wasn't frequenting Paul at all. I was on video games. I regret the time I wasted there. Like the most of the opinions, like everything is bad. To make a positive opinion about something, first you need to state the negatives. Like the negatives are put at the beginning. Like, I know this game is like that, but I like it. I like the aspect of it. Please don't spit on me. Please don't roast me for liking this game. Like, it took me too many years to understand why this place is not good to be. To visit, at least not. That's you. Yeah, of course you can visit. Everything is fine in the right doses, and too much of this negativity. Yes, a small dose of negativity is always important, so you won't be, let's say, like, you will be less naive thanks to this. It is good, but too much of it will get to you eventually, and I think it was like that with Ryan White, and he understood this. I understood that, I understood some things, like you need to eventually you need to understand some things in your life, and you will start understanding some things, and I hope that what Ryan White has expressed in this Q&A video was sincere. He has also said, he said that I understand that I am an inspiration for some people, and though I don't want to lead them in the wrong way. I want to show something positive. What I would like to say, it is like a sign of maturity. I would even say. I know it may sound really funny, really like not the best word possible, but I like to think that I am 35 at the time of your recording. I have matured a bit, and I am getting better with each passing year. I am discovering some new things, some new goals in life, some better ways, things it is something how I can relate to Ryan White. Like, he is like troubled, maybe he is a troubled guy, and he has surrounded himself with negativity because this is what he felt is right, but he has freed himself from it. He's better now, he feels better. I definitely feel better. I am happier. Like, I have a sense of satisfaction from what I'm doing right now than I had like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when I was in my 20s, when I was like I was I think I was depressed, troubled guy, and I think I have found some way in life eventually, and I hope Ryan White did the same. The present day, as I said, people forget, and Ryan White decided to come back to do what he does the best, to share some speed running stories. SpeedLore is back, also Perfect Dark. SpeedLore is back. He's co-hosting it with Karl Jobst, who has started his own YouTube channel. He has recently done an excellent video about speedrunning of the first level of Doom. I think he has almost 1 million views right now. Congratulations to him. And this story has a good end. So everything which I liked, the SpeedLore is back. There were some troubles along the way, but Ryan White was able to get out of his mess. I don't know about how many viewers he has lost, and how much he has lost. Does he have a sense of loss? I hope not. Loss, popular meme. Oh, never mind. Anyway, to summarize, I wanted to share this story, my take on Ryan White, how his SpeedLore inspired me to do some positive things, to show what went wrong and what is, I hope, right. So thank you for listening. I hope what I said in English was understandable enough, and I hope we can meet again with some new video or gameplay or anything like that. Please let me know, have you enjoyed this video or not? If not, I will stick to speaking Polish only. If you enjoyed it, I would also be grateful for letting me know. Positive feedback will inspire me to do some more videos in English. Thank you for listening, and hopefully we will meet later in some other video. Thank you.